another edition of the Morning View. What's going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Welcome back to another edition of the Morning View. And today we're going to be talking about some people that may want the Manchester United head coach role. There are a couple of people already throwing their name, seemingly, in the running to become the new Manchester United boss. Even though our current one, Ruben Amorim, is still in charge. He's still in position. But for how long? That is the question. Rumours are beginning to run rampant. Ineos still publicly backing Ruben Amorim. They're still saying that they're sticking by their man. He's their appointment. Omar Barada, Jason Wilcox, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Ruben Amorim, he's their guy. But other names continue to be linked to the role, whether it be Oliver Glasner, whether it be Xavi, whether it be others. So it's still difficult for me to say. Sir Gareth Southgate. But meetings between Southgate and Jim Ratcliffe are being denied as saying they've never happened. Meanwhile, if you watched Monday Night Football last night, the stats when it comes to Ruben Amorim, they're damning. Very, very damning. Some of the worst in Premier League history. The worst post Sir Alex, certainly, at Manchester United. How long does he have left? And as names like Glasner, Xavi, and others continue to be linked to the role. Is Ruben Amorim a dead man walking? We're going to be talking about it this morning. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. How's everybody doing? Hope you're all doing good. I mean, last night's red carpet, it was something, wasn't it? I can see some people in the chat saying it, going, last night's red carpet was intense. There was a lot of, I want to say anger, but frustration, and maybe is the right word there last night. Bradley was in top form. You had Scott there. You had James, KG, Minna, Dev. It was a very intense show. I would recommend to go watch it. But as I mentioned, we are going to be talking about possible options, I guess. Possible options for Manchester United. I mean, it feels like we're talking about maybe 2 or 3 steps ahead, doesn't it, when it comes to all of that? But we're going to be talking about it this morning. So as I said, click the like button if you haven't already. I can already see people in the chat having their says as well. Nikhil got the OWEN emojis going. Shane says, anyone saying Xavi has watched him coached and hasn't watched him coached, I think that means, and only talking about aura. As Joe Blackman says right there, it's a solo and show this morning. Yes, a solo and show. So if you haven't already, click the like button. Let's get to a quick 100 likes. We're about 20 away from that already. Stephanie Griffith, one of our mods, is in there. As Daniel Luciano says, let's get to a quick 100 likes. And as Daniel Luciano said, yesterday's red carpet was insane. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, it was. Yes, it was indeed. Right, let's talk about names being linked already with the Manchester United managerial role. Beginning with Oliver Glasner. Let's start with Glasner, then we'll talk about Xavi. So this was sort of breaking whilst we were doing the red carpet last night. And I saw some people in the comments at the time were going, oh, there's this Glasner stuff that's dropped. Oh, and talk about this Glasner stuff. It must be said that it was kind of said, I think it got more steam than maybe it should have. So Ben Jacobs was sort of saying, and this, I think he was kind of saying it offhand, but he was saying if Oliver Glasner was offered the Manchester United job, he would take it in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, he would take the role. Now, I didn't realize that Oliver Glasner, I think he's only got like a year left on his contract, unless I'm mistaken. I think Glasner's, let's double check this actually, before I move on to the Xavi part of it. Glasner contract. It expires in the summer. So, there's this idea that actually if United want to get him, he wouldn't actually be that expensive, etc., etc., etc. So that was that part of it. But it must be stressed. There's no like real concrete links. Manchester United, obviously Ruben Amorim's still in charge. Glasner's still in charge of Palace. There's been no approach, this, that, and the other. This is very much hypothetical musings by Ben Jacobs when it comes to that. Xavi kind of sort of similar reports coming out of Spain, saying Xavi has been without a job since leaving Barcelona in May of 24. And the Catalan outlets say he's not ruled out moving to Saudi Arabia. Sources inform them he's not keen at all. He doesn't want a Middle East job and is instead looking for a top-level club. Manchester United is the job he's most keen on, with other sources reporting similar in recent years. One thing's for certain, folks. One thing's for certain. Manchester United, a managerial search, results, they're not one thing. And that is Optimised. Roll VT.
Today's video is sponsored by our friends at Oxford Natural and their all-new natural supplement, Optimum Day and Night. Thousands across the UK, USA and beyond are smashing their health goals with Oxford Natural. Optimum Day gives you steady energy, curbs your cravings and keeps your metabolism firing all day. Optimum Night helps you relax, get restorative sleep, recover and keep burning fat while you rest. It's not a magic pill, but it will help you reach your health goals. Check out some of the incredible results. Two of our own, OWEN, lost over 100 pounds in 10 months and KG dropped 30 pounds in 4 months. In 8 months, football legend Michael Owen lost 35 pounds and Robbie from AFTV, Don Robbie, lost over 80 pounds. And in 6 months, Anita, an award-winning immigration lawyer, lost 44 pounds. And Linda, a law firm executive, lost over 50 pounds. No gimmicks, no needles, just results. Oxford Natural, let's get to work.
Yes, just results. Unlike Manchester United, just results. You can get Optimised. All you've got to do, click the link in the video description. It's pinned in the chat right now too, or you can scan the QR code right there. You can subscribe. You can save up to 70% off. You can use the code UV. Yes, you can get Optimised there. You can get your Optimum Day, which is good for your weight loss goals. You can get your Optimum Night, which is good for your restorative sleep. It's a brand new and improved formula. You can get Optimised today. Now, speaking of Optimised, could the managerial position get Optimised at Manchester United? I mean, first of all, let's take it in sections here. Let's take it in sections. The Xavi part of it, I don't see at all. I really don't see that being a thing. I think I kind of made reference to it yesterday on yesterday's Morning View, that I know Fabrizio kind of shoehorned it into a video that he did the other day. It feels very, very much like Xavi, his people, representatives, agents, what have you, are making it abundantly clear that he would be interested in the Manchester United job. But I don't think that that's reciprocal from Manchester United's point of view. I think it's just Xavi trying to make things happen, because that's kind of happened before with Xavi, him linking himself to the job. So I don't think Xavi ends up being the next Manchester United head coach. I also think that actually, when it comes to Xavi, I just don't think he's the right fit at all for the Manchester United position. I think that, you know, he obviously did win the league at Barcelona, but he had his troubles. There was clashes, you know, with obviously the president, which is why he ended up leaving. There was issues with performance there. In addition to that, you know, he spoke about the pressure of being the Barcelona head coach and maybe struggles with that. And this is someone that's incredibly experienced, being, you know, a Barcelona captain and one of their greatest players ever. Even he was struggling with the pressure that came with being the Barcelona head coach. And that's a very, very, very similar pressure you're going to get at, you know, at Manchester United. So I don't know if that's the best fit for Manchester United in Xavi. With Oliver Glasner, look, obviously the job he's done at Crystal Palace is unbelievable. And this is also a coach that has at different clubs as well, at different clubs being very successful. I mean, you look at him winning the Europa League with Eintracht Frankfurt, which is unbelievable. I mean, it was a bizarre competition that year. I mean, to think, you know, they faced Rangers in the final, unbelievable. But you know, won a Europa League, comes over to Crystal Palace, and was he 18 games unbeaten in the Premier League right now? He's won an FA Cup. He's won a Community Shield. he's consistently lost players. I mean, you want to talk about, with Amorim, and it was the same with Erik ten Hag. All of these people talking about, you can't succeed at Manchester United unless you get exactly the players that you want. You have to get exactly the players that you want. They have to be first choice. Erik ten Hag, he wanted Harry Kane. He didn't get Harry Kane, so that's why he got sacked. Ruben Amorim, he wanted Gyökeres, and he wanted this, he wanted that, and he didn't get these players, and that's why he's not succeeding. Oliver Glasner, he's lost Elise. He's lost Eberechi Eze. He nearly lost his captain, Mark Gay. He threatened to walk if Gay went on the last day of the transfer window, and he's still delivering. They're still getting better, and this is losing your key players, because that's what you should do as a coach, right? You don't always get everything your way. Just a life lesson. Like it just doesn't work like that, let alone in football, as well as life. You don't get everything you want. You don't get the exact tools that you're looking for, but you have to make the best of it. You have to make the best out of it, and you have to try and get the most with what you've got at you. Every manager across every single spectrum of work out there, let's think outside of football. Every single person in a position of authority or that manages a team of people will say, I don't get exactly what I want, but I've got to deliver results. That's my job. That's my job, is to deliver results and make sure I adapt in order to deliver those results. The same principles apply to football. So, and you look at Oliver Glasner, he's talking about, how he prefers a 4-4-2 and he has to adapt this, that, and the other. So if he was available, I'd be for getting Oliver Glasner at Manchester United. But I also do agree, and this was kind of, I think, a bit lost last night. I think maybe either people weren't properly sort of, say, listening, but sort of understanding what Scott was kind of saying. I thought Scott made a really good point last night on the red carpet, where he sort of said, there is this feeling, isn't there, of, well, whoever comes in, maybe they're going to have these same issues that all of these managers have had, right? And this is quite a sort of nuanced thought process here, but bear with me. Ruben Amorim should be doing better, obviously, right? That's not to say that Ruben Amorim, this is he's getting the best out of the players, and these results are the best that any manager can do, right? Because I totally disagree with that. As I've said, I believe there are many managers out there that can look at that Manchester United squad of players, group of players, they can get more out of them. Now, regardless of how high you think the ceiling is, because that's a separate point, but I think a lot of coaches could get more out of that squad, get better results out of that squad. However, I do think there is a separate argument of, well, any manager, any coach that comes in is going to experience sort of similar issues, or there is a bigger issue. There is a cultural issue that is still sort of eating Manchester United from the inside out. And I think that, Ruben Amorim has experienced that. Erik ten Hag experienced that. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer experienced that. And I don't even know if it's a specific, players thing either, because I think the argument of, oh, wow, it's the same players throwing each manager's under the bus. It's not really the case. Lots of players have been moved on, and you still have these sort of same issues there at Manchester United, right? So I do think that any manager that comes in is going to experience those issues and will have the same difficulty in overcoming those issues. But that's also not to say that Ruben Amorim shouldn't be let go because of that. Or Ruben Amorim, he gets a blind pass because it's all just completely shit at Manchester United. No, you still have to deliver results, or you still have to get at least some results. And this is my pushback to the whole, you don't have the stomach for a rebuild, Owen. I think quite a lot of fans actually do. I think as much as hysterical as we can be and as emotional as we can be, I do think there is a lot of sort of rational, understanding Manchester United fans out there. And they understand, I think, where we are. And I don't think they're expecting, compete for the league or, be in the necessarily even be in the Champions League. I think there is this feeling of, look, we're not what we used to be, but if you can compete in that sort of top six and, build on performances, you can, right, let's go from somewhere. It doesn't need to be what it has been, which is near enough losing every single week, winning one game a month, averaging a point per game, and being across like the last 30 odd games in the Premier League, being the worst team in the league. That's still in the league. There's no reason for it to get that bad. It doesn't need to. To me, that's not a rebuild. A rebuild is, all right, you're going to have to take a couple of steps back, but there is signs of improvement. You can see the direction that things that it's going in. It's not always going to be smooth sailing, but you can see the direction that you're going in. It doesn't need to be hellfire and brimstone. You don't win every single match. You play terrible football while this is the rebuild. That's not a rebuild. That's just losing. That's just being shit. That's not a rebuild. And I really do think that the amount of mileage that Ruben Amorim has been able to get out of the phrase, the storm is coming, is unbelievable. Because whenever we play shit, it's, this is the storm he was referring to. No, this isn't a storm. This is just losing. And a lot of people were talking about these. I don't know if you guys saw these last night. These were on Monday Night Football. And these stats are, until you see them, you will not believe that they're a real thing. But it is unbelievable, right? So these stats, right? This was the first one. So this was the managers who have obtained the fewest points after 33 Premier League matches, right? 33 Premier League matches. Look at some of the company that Ruben Amorim is keeping in that. Holy shit. Oh, like, it is mad. 33 games, 9 wins, 7 draws, 17 defeats, 34 points. And to think, and I don't know about you, yeah, I start looking at some of those points that we did get, right? I look at like the Chelsea game a couple of games ago and go, okay, now if they didn't go down to 10 men, it could have been on Roberto Martinez numbers. Or I go, that last game of the season against Aston Villa, when we were the better team that day, but we weren't going to score, and then Bayern in and he throws it, lets it out of his hands, that could have been a totally different game. Some of those names on that list, I don't even remember, right? I remember Steve Keane for how shocking he was at Blackburn. Dave Merrington, I didn't remember Dave Merrington from Southampton. I'm actually kind of shocked about how badly Roberto Martinez started at Wigan as well. But I mean, it's the worst of the worst. And as far as a comparison between post-Sir Alec managers, it don't look much better. Look, the last 6 permanent managers at Manchester United, points in the first 33 Premier League games. You got sort of Van Gaal, Jose, Erik ten Hag, pretty close to each other. David Moyes and Ollie, where they're talking about, terrible. Ruben Amorim, he's not even close. He's not even close to David Moyes or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, let alone Van Gaal, Mourinho, Erik ten Hag. Like, it's not even close. It's not even. This is my point when I'm sort of saying. I mean, and also actually, when you look at this, right? There's only one name in that list. Only Roberto Martinez in that list has lost more games than Ruben Amorim. Only one. So, what are we doing here? Like this is kind of my point with all of this. Spare me. This is negative. Spare me. You don't have the stomach for a rebuild. Spare me all of the cliches and the buzzwords and the catchphrases that we like to use, break the cycle, rebuild, whatever, it's just not good enough. And like, it's becoming a separate issue at this point, in my opinion, anyway. We can talk about, again, the cultural issues at Manchester United, and whoever the next coach is, they're going to have similar problems and this, that, and the other. Totally agree. Totally true. But these numbers, irrespective of player power or, don't let the players win or this, that, and the other, they cannot be tolerated. They can't. So much so that, all right, let's say we beat Sunderland. Let's say we beat Sunderland at the weekend. Oh, suddenly, right, he's out of that group now. Things are sorted. Things are sorted. Things are not an issue, not a problem. Of course they are. One result changes nothing at the weekend. And I go into that game, honestly, with Sunderland. I don't even... Could you say that we're favourites? Sunderland, they're far better than us this season. They've started the season much better. They're playing better football than us. I think even this kind of narrative's been a bit lost over the last few days, going, wow, look, if he can't beat Sunderland at home, then he's got to go. Maybe couldn't beat Grimsby away. Why would losing to Sunderland be this massive embarrassment? We get embarrassed every single week. That's par for the course, really. That's not anything shocking. That's not anything like super embarrassing. That's just normal at this point. And even if we did beat Sunderland, that's going to be the game. All right, things have turned round now. Things are fixed. Yep, we're now going to go on a run. We've already established we can't go on a run. Have you seen Frank recently? Have you seen his hair? He looks like a giant microphone. We are not going to go on a run. We can't go on a run. Any chance we had of going on a run ended at the weekend when we played Brentford, because that was the time if we were ever going to do it. We beat Chelsea at home. Then you've got Brentford away. No Ivan Toney, no Wissa, no Mbumo, no Thomas Frank. They got a set-piece coach as their head coach. Now's the time to do it. No. So we're not going to go on a run. One game clearly is not going to change it. We've had many right, this is the time it's going to change. Many results like that. Nope. It's not going to happen. So it goes back to, I suppose, what we were talking about last night on the red carpet, which is, what are we waiting for? Are we just waiting to get into November, into the second year of his contract or whatever? The first year's done. So then the compensation is coming down. Is that what it is? Are we just, are Ineos just being loud and proud? Well, this was our guy. It's going to come good. It's going to come good. It's not. How long are we going to wait? What are we going to do? CH says, how long would you give Klopp? 1 year. Jurgen Klopp, just let me double check. Jurgen Klopp isn't on that list. It's interesting. Thought Jurgen Klopp's not on that list. That's weird. That's weird. I'm sure Jurgen Klopp, in comparison to other Liverpool managers, probably I wouldn't have been that big on that one. So those numbers, honestly, are I think the greatest comeback for any of, again, the other buzzwords that we use, which is like, you'd have sacked Sir Alex. You'd have sacked Sir Alex if it was like that. Yep. You'd have sacked Sir Alex. Well, if Sir Alex Ferguson delivered those kind of numbers, then I'm sure, he would have been under considerable pressure. If Sir Alex Ferguson lost more games than he won, he'd be under pressure. You have to win games. And this is how you know that 2025 is like, it's weird. It's just different reality. Is for some reason at Manchester United now, it is acceptable not to win football matches. And when I say not to win football matches, I don't mean the odd one here and there of, oh, our standards. We can lose more often than we win. We can lose, apart from one game a month, which we'll win. But aside from that, we won't win the rest of them. And that's okay. That's not okay. That's never, ever, ever been okay. You have to win games. You have to. And when I say win games, I mean more than just back-to-back Premier League games. Ruben Amorim can't do that. Like, he can't. So if he doesn't get sacked, Man United are heading towards the relegation zone. That's where we were last season. And frankly, people were right when they were saying that last season is because the competition was so bad in terms of the competition to stay in the league. If those teams that got relegated were a little bit better, we'd have been looking over our shoulders a bit. I mean, we would have. It's just, it's unbelievable. It really is. Reba with a super chat says, can you also mention how many points we lost because of player mistakes? Don't get me wrong, Reba, or was it Reba? Apologies. It's so much bigger than that as well. This is the other part of it. We get into whataboutism, don't we? We do whataboutism. So we'll go, Ruben, like, it's not working. Yeah, but what about Bruno when he missed a penalty? He missed a penalty. You know, Ruben Amorim, he can't put the ball in the back of the net. He can't do that. It's not to say. I think when you talk about the manager, I think if you take that as you're just ignoring a lot of player, deficiencies, or you're ignoring that the players have culpability, that's not the case at all. The players absolutely, and this is why sometimes now I try and mention this point, because I think it does get lost. If you want Ruben Amorim to leave, or you don't think Ruben Amorim is the right guy, that doesn't mean that you think the players aren't culpable or the players don't have responsibility, because of course they do. Players absolutely have responsibility. Everyone has responsibility. The same way that, I don't know how many times I've mentioned this, if we win, I never can understand, if we win a game, genius. The coach has coached a 3-0 win there for Manchester. If only we could win 3-0. But the coach has coached a 3-0 win there, genius. When we lose a game, those individual player mistakes, it's all on the players today. That's not on Ruben Amorim. It doesn't work like that. If you win a game, it's because of the players and the coach. If you lose a game, it's because of the players and the coach. That's how it works. So yes, Ruben Amorim is coming under scrutiny because his Manchester United record is terrible. 1,000,000%. And also, some of those players still aren't good enough. I wasn't in favour of triggering Harry Maguire's contract last season. I mentioned it. I would have just go, no thanks. Just let him go on a free. Luke Shaw, he should go. I mentioned that Man United should have been trying to move on Mason Mount because he gets injured too much. There's a bunch of players in there. Even with Bruno, look, if we could have got the 100 million for Bruno, well, that could have made a big difference for Manchester United over the summer, right? So there's huge player issues within that team. But what I won't have is that team, they're only good enough to be in 14th. You can't get any more out of them than being 15th. You can. Other managers can. I'm pretty confident in that. They're international players. Are they good enough maybe to be in the top 6 or be in the Champions League? Maybe not. Maybe not. But you can get more out of them than 14th or 15th because you can play to their strengths. You can adapt. You can do what I think most managers do in any form of business, which is, okay, these are the tools I have at my disposal. How do I get the most out of them? How do I get the most out of them? How do I get them to be as effective as possible? How do I get results? And therefore I can buy myself time, and then I can get people in. Then I can, when things do get tough, I can point to my successes as for reasons to give me more time. That's the issue Ruben Amorim has at the moment. There's no successes to point to. What successes have there been to point to that he goes, this is why I should get more time? That's what the future can look like. The future can be like this, or this is when it did work. So it's going to take a bit more time to get to that consistency, but we can get there. There's nothing to point to. At least with Ten Hag, he could point to, well, look, I won some trophies. That's something to point to. With Ollie, he could point to consistently qualifying for the Champions League and go, look, nobody's done that. See, that's what I can point to. Jose could point to a league finish, could point to winning trophies, and of course he could point to his history in general and go, look, there you go, there's something I can point to. Louis van Gaal the same. Ruben Amorim's got nothing to point to. Nothing. There's no successes. There's been no buying. There's been no bounce. There's been nothing. there really has. Mayo says, Owen, but when has there ever worked for us? Many managers we had did that failed in the end. But this is the other thing I don't understand. So because things haven't worked in the past, we should just accept this from Ruben Amorim? Well, because we did try and find the right person before it didn't work out. So we should just accept all of this because we won't get it right again. Do we need to point out that those people, they were doing considerably better than Ruben Amorim? This is the other part. It's not to say that Louis van Gaal, Jose, Erik ten Hag, David Moyes, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, that they were incredibly, it's openly admitted that none of them were the right person, but they still did significantly better. I mean, this is the other part of it. It's not even comparable. It's not even close. It's not even comparable. Like, this is the other, that part of it of, they didn't work out. They still got more out of all of what they had compared to Ruben Amorim. Like, way more. way more. So it's not even, it's just not close. It's not. And this idea that, this idea that, well, I'm tired of just us sacking managers and then trying to find someone that's going to do better. Yeah. That's how football works. We can look at the league table. Most Premier League managers, rather, that are in charge of their clubs right now, it's because someone got sacked. That's how it works. That's how football has always worked. There's a couple of instances where that's not the case. People leave or people retire or resign. But more often than not, these people that are in their jobs right now are because people got sacked because they weren't doing their jobs properly. Arsenal, second in the league. Mikel Arteta comes in. Why does he come in? Unai Emery wasn't doing a good enough job. He got sacked. Crystal Palace in third. Oliver Glasner in there at the moment. Why did he come in? Roy Hodgson, old, stabilised, but we're going to move in a different direction. Spurs, they win Europa League, but they finish 17th. Thomas Frank comes in because Ange got sacked. Bournemouth, Iriola, people go and they want him. You look at Gary O'Neill, who's doing a good job at Bournemouth. He's actually doing all right. They went, we think we can do better. Bring him in. Man City, Pep. Who did he replace? Pellegrini. Pellegrini had won a Premier League. But they went, we want a bit more. Pep's available. We're going to go get him. Chelsea, Maresca. Poch, he had a great end to the season. Won a bunch of games in a row, finished sixth. Nah, but we don't think it's the right thing. That's what it's going to be. Everton. New ownership, Sean Dyche can't really take the club any further. David Moyes comes in. This is how it works. Brighton, De Zerbi, we'll go mutual. We'll go our both ways. Second season's not been that great. Bring in Fabian Hertzler. Like this. Every club across world football, if things aren't working out, the manager goes and someone else comes in. Do you think that these clubs, like for instance, Real Madrid, Don Carlo, Champions League winning Don Carlo. They're like, kind of reached the end of the cycle, isn't it? Kind of reached the end of the cycle, and Xabi Alonso's available. Let's go get Xabi Alonso, and Carlo Ancelotti can go become Brazil manager. Let's do that. Do you think they were going? Yeah, but what if Xabi Alonso doesn't work out? What if Alonso doesn't work out and and Carlo Ancelotti's won Champions Leagues. What if he doesn't work out? No, they're going, right, we got to evolve, we got to change. This is how football works. I think maybe because of our history and because of having Sir Alex there for the longest time, we have become afraid. We don't want to sack managers, or we don't want to get rid of managers. We don't want to get rid of coaches. But if they're not the right person, they're not the right person. And just because we haven't found the right person in the past, it doesn't mean you give up and you just never stop, or you just settle. Flex did the analogy yesterday, and it's so true. Right, so you date someone, you go out of her. Oh, it doesn't work out. Should I try and find someone else to be happy with, spend the rest of my life with? Well, that one didn't work out before, so no, I'm just never going to do it. You'd say, no, get out there, keep going until you find the right person. Don't just give up. Can't just give up and just stop trying. That's like Flex says. That's when you do get into the territory of shut the channel down. Then why bother? Why bother? This is totally fine. That's fine. This isn't bad at all. No issue here. I don't know what you're talking about. Looks fine to me. And this is the other part of it, actually, really, isn't it? The whole, well, what if whoever we get in, it doesn't work out? Can it get worse than that? Really? I mean, for it to get worse from these numbers, we just basically have to just not win ever again. Basically, if someone could come in and win more than 2 games a month, that's an improvement. That's better. If anything, I would say that's probably the positive for the next manager that does come in. Is I would say, mate, actually the bar is so low. If you won 2 back-to-back Premier League games, you'd already do better. You know what I mean? You'd already be doing more. So actually, it's the perfect time. It's the perfect time to come in because you don't have to do that much. That's what it's got to be. My goodness. Terence says, how to Southgate? Yes, he got England to 2 finals, but he bottled them hard, especially against a lackluster Italian side. And on club level, he's terrible. Look, when it comes to the Southgate thing, obviously, and actually, this is just a little bit of an update on Southgate. Rob Dawson from ESPN saying that sources have denied speculation that Sir Jim Ratcliffe has already met with Gareth Southgate. Manchester United are not currently looking for replacements for Ruben Amorim. I don't really buy, honestly, the Southgate stuff that much. I think that a bit like last time, it's kind of more media sort of pushed and forced. But as I've mentioned before, I'm not going to be that guy that says no to anyone. Really, I don't think we're in the position to turn our nose up at anyone because we did that before, and look at how they've performed in these other clubs that they've gone to. Right? I remember when we got linked to Thomas Frank, and it was from Brentford. From Brentford. I don't know about that. I don't know about Thomas Frank from Brentford. He wouldn't suit. No. I don't know about that. Whoever comes in, they'd have to fail spectacularly to be doing worse than what we're doing now. Yeah, Terence, we absolutely are that broken. It's true. Now, I think Gareth Southgate, clearly not the right guy. I wouldn't be thrilled with it at all. Who am I to say that could be worse? I think when Gareth Southgate was being linked with the job in the first place, I think we were expecting these numbers, weren't we? We thought, well, if Gareth Southgate comes in, scratch out Ruben Amorim, that would be Gareth Southgate's Manchester United, right? That would be Gareth Southgate's numbers. Can't do much worse. Can't do much worse. As Terrence says, anything worse is relegation, which is technically what we're kind of on track for anyway. 1 point per game, about 38 points. That's what it is, isn't it? So who am I to say no? So with Gareth Southgate, or even if it was Xavi, I would have massive reservations, but who's to say? who's to say that anyone coming in, they'd be way, way, way worse. This would be catastrophic. If as long as they can win a couple of games in a row, that's it. You know, that's where we're at. Yeah. Reba says, you mentioned, what if Chelsea didn't get that red card? Well, if Chelsea, as I guess has been demonstrated, unless they're against 10 men, we're kind of struggling a bit, aren't we? So, I mean, maybe we can hope that Granit Xhaka gets sent off very early in the game at the weekend, perhaps 3 p.m. Maybe that's what we've got to hope for. But this is the other part of it too. Like, I don't even know if there is that kind of, like sometimes I remember, what game was it? Was it that West Ham game, Eric Ten Hag's last game? There was sometimes I thought it was Villa. Remember, we played Villa at Villa Park, and this was like built up of, well, if Eric Ten Hag doesn't, if Eric Ten Hag loses today, going into the international break, he's going to get sacked. And I think it was it 0-0 or was it 1-1 in the end? We drew the game, I think it was. And going into this game Saturday against Sunderland, I don't even think it's like that. I don't even think like, if Ruben Amorim loses, if Ruben Amorim loses against Sunderland, he's definitely going to get sacked. Because I think he should, regardless, basically, what happens. I don't think, let's say we beat Sunderland in a similar vein to how we beat Burnley, right? Where we score a late winner and, we beat Sunderland at home. I still don't think that's enough. Because I don't see, as has been evident in those previous games, even if we did win, I'd be like, well, got Fulham coming out of the international break. Got Liverpool rather coming out of the international break. Then we've got some really tough fixtures. I just don't think, just don't think anything's going to change. I just don't think anything's going to change. But then I'm kind of also thinking, would Ruben get sacked in the international break? I mean, I suppose it depends. As I always say with results, context does matter, right? So if Man United did get absolutely pumped by Sunderland, maybe that would be a little bit different. But I don't know. There's just something in me that says I don't think anything's going to happen for a while. I think that I feel like we're sort of heading towards a very similar path that we were last year under Eric Ten Hag. And Eric Ten Hag, there was obviously the first 3 games, that first international break, he was under pressure. Second batch of games, that's when going into the international break, there was this sort of focus, wasn't there, of, there's a meeting at Knightsbridge. Is anything going to happen? Nothing happened. And then coming out of that international break, wasn't it when all of the stuff happened with we lost to West Ham. He got sacked, and then Ruud had to take over until the next international break. I think it was something like that. And I just wonder if that's going to be a similar situation this time round, where we go into this international break, go, surely something's going to happen. Nothing really does. And then there's that big Liverpool result, say, coming out of it. And we're like, oh, right, now it's going to happen. And we have this feeling of, why did we wait so long, kind of thing. But I just don't know if that's anything's going to happen that quickly. Time will tell. A bit of an interesting development this morning regarding one of the bomb squad, because Andy Mitten has said that Terrell Malacia will meet with Ruben Amorim at Carrington today with a view to returning to the first team group. Malacia has been training alone at 8th tier side Trafford FC, who appreciated the financial donation he made to them. So Malacia could be reintegrated back into the squad. To be fair, when it came to him, of all the members of the bomb squad, so who was that? Rashford, Sancho, Garnacho, Anthony. Malacia felt like sort of the least guilty. He was like guilty by association, didn't it? But I mean, this was also a guy that he couldn't get a move to. Was it Elche? I think it was. I don't know. I'm so defeated by everything with Manchester United at the moment that I'm just kind of like, okay, cool. You know, I'd be back in. Will he be involved in some match days? I mean, who are our wing back options at the moment? There's Dorgu, there's Dallo, Mazraoui's injured. I guess it means Mason Mount doesn't have to end up at left wing back like he did in the last game. So, yeah, maybe he'll be involved. Do you know what I mean? So okay, but just okay, cool. Be back involved. I guess. like Kandira says there. I mean, I guess cool. It's not even like, well, we'll need the bodies for rotation. We're not in anything. You know, we're out of the Carabao Cup. FA Cup's in January. Yeah, we only play one game a week, which we're getting better at. Remember, because we're going to got one game a week, we'll be playing better because we've got more time on the training pitch to improve, understand the system and what players need to do, work on their 5-yard passing. That's what needs to be. So yeah, that's good. We've got over 1,000 people watching. If you haven't already, click the like button. We're at 321 likes. See if we can get to 400, 500. So yeah, Malasia's back in the see we could be back in the first team squad. Laurie Whitwell said something quite interesting yesterday on the Talk of the Devils podcast for The Athletic, and I do think this is kind of where we're at. He says, quote, if Ruben Amorim goes, does that bring the spotlight on Omar Barada, on Jason Wilcox, on other people that were involved in getting to this point? So I think that's why they would ultimately want to see it through. And I think they do still feel like it could work. But I think you're getting to a point now where those questions are going to become louder and louder, and ultimately results will dictate it. I think it's fragile. I do think that the hierarchy want it to work because they know what the ramifications are. But I feel that you can't ignore the results if they continue like this. Now, I agree with the majority of what Laurie Whitwell's saying there. I disagree with other parts where he sort of says, I feel that you can't ignore the results if they continue like this. That would imply that, you know, this is just kind of started. They've been like this the whole time. The results have been like this, you know, for the pretty much all of Ruben Amorim's tenure. And when he says about, you know, questions are going to get louder and louder, I think they're already very loud as is. And I think the results have dictated it, but I think they dictated it a long time ago. I do definitely agree with, I think at this point, and this is kind of what we spoke about last night on the red carpet, wasn't it? I do think at this point, the attention has shifted towards Ineos. I think that you look at Ruben Amorim, as much as he threatens to, and he says he'd walk away without compensation and this, that, and the other, he's not going to do that. Ruben Amorim's not going to walk away. He might threaten it, but I think they're quite empty threats now. So I don't think he's going to resign or he's going to walk, or there's a situation where United don't have to pay him his compensation or what have you. Like, he's going to, if he goes, as he said, if they want to change, they'll have to change the person, right? That's what he said. So if he leaves, it's because he's going to have to get sacked. I do think now the attention has turned to Omar Barada and Jason Wilcox, because I think, well, I know that certainly I am. I can only speak for myself. I'm looking at them going, what are you waiting for? Like, how bad does it have to get? Because, I mean, I've got it up on the screen a million times this morning. It's as bad as it's been. You know, there's no dressing it up there, is there? So what are you waiting for? Is it a case of you are legitimately just waiting to get to what date is it? November 2nd or something? You just waiting for it to get into November. Then the compensation comes down from 12 million to, I don't know, like a third of that. And that's really what you're waiting for. Are you waiting for the fans to finally turn, match going fans, because they're away match going fans, they'll sing to the end, and fans mostly inside Old Trafford will keep singing to the end? Are you waiting until that turns? Are you like, what are you waiting for? Because for me, I just see it continuing on as is, which is we'll occasionally win a match, one a month, then that'll be followed up by most likely sort of back-to-back losses, or a stretch of 3 or 4 games where we don't win. Maybe there's a couple of draws in there. Then we'll win our game per month, and then we'll lose or draw the rest, because that's what it's been. So are we waiting for November? Is that we're going to have to put up with another month of this? What game's going to be that ending point, really? I mean, I look at the fixtures that we've got coming up. This was meant to be a sort of our nice run. We've got Sunderland at the weekend. Then we've got Liverpool away. Obviously, our record at Anfield's rubbish. Brighton at home. Our record against Brighton in general is rubbish. Forest away. Our record recently going to Forest, I don't think is that great, is it? Spurs away. We haven't beat Spurs in ages. We couldn't beat Spurs under Ange. And by that point, you're well into November. You're well into November by that point. So, like I say, when is enough going to be enough? What is going to be the cutoff point? After the Spurs game, there's another international break, and we come out of it by playing Everton at home, and then Crystal Palace away. Frankly, in the start of December, we've got West Ham at home, and then we've got Wolves away. They might be relegation clashes. They're going to be 6-pointers. If the table stays as is, we're going to be looking at those ones being like, bloody hell, we've got to win those. We're going to have to win those ones. We've got to start picking up some points. So, I don't know. I don't know what they're waiting for. And I think the longer time goes on, then I do think questions have to be asked of Ineos. Just because he was their hire, and just because they were so desperate for it to be right, a sign of leadership is admitting that you were wrong. A sign of leadership is accepting that things have gone wrong and being ruthless. We celebrate it. We've celebrated Ineos being ruthless. Good that they've got rid of Onana. Good that they got rid of Garnacho and Rashford. Good that they're gone, because they need to be gone. We need to be ruthless. We need to be ruthless. Apart from with the coach, because we just can keep losing. Look, you got to be ruthless regardless. They did it with Dan Ashworth, wasn't working out, got rid. Done it with certain players, Rasmus Højlund, got rid. Should be the case for everyone at the club. If you're not good enough, if you can't deliver, then you're going to have to go. And again, the question is just how long are Manchester United going to wait? Time will tell. So there you go, guys. That is the morning view for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Where do we end up at? Let's see if we can get to 400 likes on the way out. We're 45 likes away. It's Tuesday. That means Flex and KG show should be coming up at 7 p.m. live here on the channel. Tomorrow, we'll be back with another morning view. It'll be Flex and myself tomorrow, so be sure to join us then. And of course, if anything else happens in the meantime, we will be here. Be sure to check out and subscribe to the Football Flex. There'll be videos coming up regarding all Champions League stuff, and of course, anything else that happens in the meantime. Remember, scan the QR code right there. You can use the code UV, subscribe, save up to 70% off your Oxford Natural by Gowan Life. You can get your Optimum Day and your Optimum Night. Remember, you can order them separately or combined. Get a nice little stack there as well. All of the information, as always, is in the video description below. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Have a good morning. Try not to think about Man United too much. It'll put a downer on your day. Just think about other stuff, really, basically. Anyway, I'm out of here. Peace.